So, I wanted to just say, with time came tech. I talked to my grandmother a lot, like she's the person that raised me, right? In relationship to like my reality growing up as a Black American kid. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, right? I had access to the computer. I try to think back to the first time I saw a computer. It was in Brownsville in PS219. It was a Macintosh, and we had like those little floppy disk. And I'm trying to remember. I remember playing Carmen Sandiego. Been there, technology has been there, and anyway, like, yes, I started writing in my journals. I still write in hand, but the majority of my hand, I've been using this for a long time, right? Move forward to the internet now, where it's like, you've got mail. Like, then we get a little older, and I'm like, all right, I got a free account, whatever. Me and my friends have my own like Instagram, and that's what I mean, Instagram, hear me? AOL screaming, AIM, whatever. We used to really go at it, you know, like really a private conversation, and we just talk about things that we had no business on. That shit is crazy. So the internet has always been there. It helped us. I've been doing research. I think I was in Huddy, and we have like, you know, my vocabulary was getting up. Huddy was what do you call it? I don't know, I guess you call it a specialized junior high school. I had to take a test to get it. So my work had gone up. So I'm like, oh, you know, I'm about to go to the encyclopedia. We have this like dictionary version. I used to use like MS-DOS, again, super smart. And even like growing up with access to the computer taught your brain how to just work in this way, how I'm able to code now. You know, it's still just all there. I should have been a computer science person now that like I see where the world's going, but whatever. I did criminal justice, so I know how to speak. Online education changed access to how we live, breathe, whatever. I remember finishing my homework, like I said, typing, searching for the word, and looking up in the online version of the dictionary instead of like going to the book. And my grandmother being there, like, "Are you doing homework?" Like, I thought you were going to do homework, not playing on a computer. She recognizes that I had access. Right now, when I talk about mental health, she recognizes that I have access, and I've had access to things that she just does not.
I'm talking about the internet and how access to the internet helped us to be in this space of just knowledge, right? I'm big on knowledge. I'm big on talking about our access to knowledge, because I feel like, again, education, mental health, these are we didn't get our reparations, but we definitely have that, right? Like, we know that much. We're the representation of survival, of what it looks like to survive. The Black race survives in America every day despite everything else. Education is why. You know, young people like myself, we're not stupid. You know what I mean? It's like, yesterday I just talked about turning down 7 jobs this month that were all paying way under the rate, which I charge is $65K. They don't ever want to pay people. I don't even think they pay jobs at $65K anymore, unless it's like 6 months when they know they can bullshit you, work you to death like a slave, basically. Shout out to sea slaves. Work you to death like a slave, and then give you a non-disclosure, tell you that you can't even, all the ideas that you gave them are now theirs and not yours. You know, it's a lot of bullshit that people, because you want a paycheck. You know, I get it. I've seen it. I do it. So I'm like, yes, I choose to struggle because, I choose to struggle because I'm trying to build something on my own. It's the Steve Jobs method. I live in my parents' basement. I don't really care. I smoke weed. Like, you know what I mean? Access to education helps me deal with that, right? It's because I know at the end of the day, it's not something that I really am doing wrong. And I know it's a system that has yet to catch up to people like me and people like you who are probably tuned in, that you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm gonna make a special video just to talk about that, because it's something new that I took on, assistant directing. But the play is so therapeutic to me in this way, to just listen to them in rehearsal every time they say something ignorant in the play. Obviously, it's about white privilege and just their ignorance towards it. You know, the characters that I'm working with, the actresses that I'm working with are very smart and powerful, and they're able to comedically be aware of with their privilege. You know what I mean? It's just stupid. But again, it's a lot of that. Like, oh, you seem very smart. They don't want smart people in this country, though. Like, you know, because I have access to the internet, because I can read James Baldwin and Nina Simone's and recognize why they had to leave this country even to be who they are. I never learned any of that in school. I didn't learn it in Huddy. I didn't learn it in 219. I didn't learn it in Sheepshead Bay, and I damn sure didn't learn it in the education I paid for, which is at LIUCW Post, where I earned the master's degree. I learned that the criminal justice system was broken because all the white teachers, professors, FBI agents, and there was this guy, the correctional facility warden guy, who taught me that, you know, who taught me the difference between parole and what's the other one? Can't think of my head right now because I'm talking about things that have no business in this video. Christianity, that was more, this is based on the history here. This is coming from a scholarly library. It's Miami University. Yep, Miami University is reporting this. It's from the Christianization of slaves in the West Indies. This other part here that says, while some West Indian slaves opposed Christian European Christianity. Many more women. They did not, in the African spiritual religions, though they said right here, their religion saw man as himself. Death rites were important to ascertain that the spirit of the departed remained benign rather than hostile to those left behind, like a burial. What we do, what I'm trying to say is, what that didn't leave the slaves, because again, these people you're a slave. You know, you just put yourself in the mindset of, when people get paid to be at their job and you still feel like a slave. I know I didn't have an idea of heaven, right? So something, because your body is being ripped to shreds, your mind, your body, your soul, your ass, your fucking everything, your humanness is stripped from you. What do you get? But that's where Christianity and white people were able to sell Christianity to a black slave. So it's like, at least at the very end, which we see in the stories that we hear today, you know, lynch, you got to pull them down, you know what I mean? You hear them praying. And the women in the movement, this is in Mississippi now. This is the Emmett Till story. We're years after slavery. It's the same thing. It's like, you know, obviously that burial was very different. Thank God for white people in this country don't care about our bodies as depicted as we see all the hashtags, George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, we could keep going, Sandra Bland, we don't know. It's the same thing. We're being treated in today's time as if we're still on plantations. Like, it doesn't matter what happens to us. You could just do whatever. We shouldn't ask questions. We should just whatever. They want to make that the norm still. Still was the key word in that sentence. Still. Last point of this video, the fear of others. I know people like me, like I say, I talk about all the time, like, I don't know why my content's being held back, like, on social media, but then again, I do know, because I am the John Lewises, of the Martin Luther Kings, of the people who are kicking shit up, of the people who are using social media to call out social media. I used to be the person to be on Facebook to be like, oh my God, I hate when people come on social media to back social media. Then social media changed. Now if I talk about T-slaves, I have to put a note that says that I'm talking about a social abortion. If I want to promote a story that I'm in, talking about abortion is 49th anniversary of Roe versus Wade. I am speaking in a storytelling group, Stories for Choices. I'm telling my abortion stories. If I want to promote that story, I have to put a banner that's social issue. That wasn't the social media that I was telling people not to complain about. I complain about Meta every single day. That they know about these things happening, that they can swap social activists' Instagrams for Russian apps and all kinds of fucking things talking about it. And we have data, like I just got motivated watching Gina Davis and them talk about it to the Directors Guild of America in 1985 when they're fighting, 1960 something, when no, it's 1985, where they were fighting, white women fighting for space for women, a group of 6 directors trying to push this whole entire industry forward. We're not giving up. The best thing to happen to me was to not get a job, so that I have a fucking passion and a reason to fight. And I'm talking about getting a job in the recession. I call myself a recession millennial. That was part of the post that I put out last night. You know, some of us are made to be light in the world, and this is where my light is. It's in telling the truth, speaking truth to power, is using my knowledge as power, as a weapon, nonsense that we obviously have to fight. They just did not pass the John Lewis voting right. They're about to push more erasure. First talk in our generational trauma series. This was supposed to be the emotional heavy one. This one is where I'm keeping it the most real, because it's like, dude, we gotta just get real about our shit and stop pretending that working for these people are gonna like change the shit that we got, because it's not.